Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Cat Chat Live. My name is Nancy Stevens, and I serve as UK's Parent and Family Communications Manager. I'm excited to have you join us for today's conversation with some of my wonderful colleagues in student excellence. You'll learn a little bit more about all of the areas that make up student excellence within our Office for Student Success, but today we're really going to focus on transformative learning and the Stuckert Career Center. These are both resources that you may have heard about at Big Blue Nation Orientation, but we want to take some time for you to learn a little bit more about all of the ways that they support students. And we really want to encourage you to have your students connect with these resources very early on in their time on campus. And that includes the Career Center that you may be thinking, well, I don't need to really know more about that for a couple of years. We're going to make sure you understand how important it is for your students to be connecting with them sooner rather than later. But before I turn things over to my colleagues, want to do a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who have done our Cat Chat Live series, been part of these webinars already, this is a reminder for you. But for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, want to share a few tips and reminders. We're using the Zoom webinar platform, and so we can't see or hear you. It does make it a little odd when we're just sitting here in our offices staring at our computers and hoping this is going out into the world, but we can't see or hear you. But you can communicate with us using the Zoom Q&A feature. We very much encourage your questions throughout. You can put those questions in the Q&A as you think of them, and we'll address all of those at the end after we've gone through all of the slides that we have to share with you today. We will plan on being together no more than an hour today. We'll take as many of your questions as we can in that time. We are recording it, so if you're not able to stay on the whole time or you want to share it with someone after the fact, you can view that recording. It will be in our Cat Chat family community and will be emailed. A link will be emailed to you in the next couple of days as well. For those questions that you think of after you finish watching today's webinar, you can always email parents@uky.edu to get more information and assistance. We can help connect you with any resources on campus. And lastly, we know that you get asked for feedback and surveys all the time, both from UK and and businesses and all sorts of things. But we really do value and appreciate your feedback. You'll get a survey link at the end of the webinar. And we really hope you'll take a minute or two to let us know what you thought both of today's webinar, the whole Cat Chat Live series, and any questions that you still have about your students' transition to UK and the resources available to support them. So we appreciate you taking a minute and sharing your feedback with us. So we have a few more Cat Chat Lives scheduled here in the next week or so, and are already making plans for a less robust but still good fall series as well. So next week on Monday, I'll be joined by colleagues who support students' physical and mental health on campus. And so I hope you'll take a minute to register for that webinar because I think they'll have some really good information to share with you. And then a week from today, I'll be joined by UK Police, and they'll be taking your questions, sharing more about the safety resources and services on campus as well. As I said, plans are being made for additional Cat Chat Live webinars this fall. We already have one scheduled with an overview of Family Weekend and all the fun that we'll be having in September. And as we have additional dates and topics scheduled, we'll be posting those and registration links in the Cat Chat family community. And of course, if you've missed any of our other webinars that we've done earlier in the series, you can always find those recordings in the Cat Chat family community as well. Hopefully, you are taking full advantage of all of the resources in the Cat Chat family community. That you're getting regular email newsletters from us, that you are discovering additional communities and ways to customize the information that's being shared through the Cat Chat family community. But in a moment, you'll see a link on the screen if you need to share the Cat Chat family community with others who might be in your student support system. And we hope that this becomes a go-to source of information for you. As I've talked about at orientation and admitted student days, we want you to go to the official sources of information. As you have questions about UK, we can't always trust what we find in Facebook groups and so on. So make sure that you're getting your news from an official source. One of the things you can do in the Cat Chat family community right now is register for Family Weekend. As I said, we'll be doing a webinar later in the Cat Chat Live series about Family Weekend, but you'll find on our website and then in the registration form in the Cat Chat family community more information about all the fun that's planned for the weekend of September 20th through the 22nd. We hope you'll make plans to attend, and all of the information that you need to do so can be found again on that Family Weekend website and then in the Cat Chat family community. So tried to move through that pretty quickly so I could get you on to our special guest today. I'm going to turn things over to my colleagues in Transformative Learning to introduce themselves and share more about the wonderful resources that they have, and then they'll pass it along to the Stuckert Career Center. But I appreciate all of you being here with us today, and I'm excited to hear more about all the ways you support our students.
Thanks so much, Nancy. So glad to be here with you all. My name is Christy Mayer. I'm an associate director in Transformative Learning. And today I have with me one of my favorite colleagues, Kat. I'll let you introduce yourself real quick.
Sure. Hello, everybody. We're happy to be here with you. My name is Kat Bradygum, and I am a program coordinator in Transformative Learning. We're super excited to talk to you a little bit today about our services.
So, we are the centralized learning center on campus. So everything Transformative Learning does is aimed towards ensuring your student can be the best possible student they can be while they're here at UK, and that they have all the resources and supports that they need to find success, both in and outside of the classroom. So, we realize that that transition to college it can be bumpy at times, it can be challenging at times, and there's unexpected things, and that's fine. That learning is challenging. Becoming an adult is, that's part of the process. And it's going to be fine because we are all here to support them. And as a parent, you may hear your students say some of these things at some point in this semester, could I manage my time better? This is harder than I thought it was going to be. Where can I go? What should I be doing? And we really want you to think about transformative learning and recommending it to your student early and often, and making sure that they're connected with all of the resources that are here to ensure they can be the best possible student they can be. So one of the first things that we want you to check in with your student about, or encourage you to check in with your student about, is, are they taking UK 101 this fall? This is basically the introductory course to being a Wildcat at UK. What are all those resources? How do you find your place on campus? How do you talk to your faculty, ask questions? How do you make those connections on campus? Those are all things that are talked about and discussed in UK 101. They're small sections, so students get an opportunity to talk with other students. They're going through some of the same things as them. They have an experienced peer instructor in the classroom with them to kind of share some of those, insider pro tips about what you can do here at UK to be successful. And they're going to go over a ton of different study strategies, resources, things that we want students to know about to really find their place here on campus as a Wildcat. Both Kat and I have taught UK 101, so we love getting to know students on that more personal level and really making those connections. One of my favorite things about teaching that class is getting to see all the unique backgrounds that students are joining our community from. And it's really fun and exciting to see them kind of start in this kind of nervous, excited space, and then move into this more confident, enthusiastic space of, I actually can do this, and I'm feeling really good about me here at UK. Kat, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about, what you love most about UK 101.
Sure. I think it's similar to Christy. I really enjoy seeing our students in their first semester grow from that excited, but this is all new energy, to this confident, I'm a Wildcat and UK is my home away from home. And I also really enjoy watching them build community organically in that classroom setting. That, they're helping each other academically, but they're also talking about, hey, I'm going through this, or I'm going to go check out this group or club or game, and would you like to come with me? And seeing these friendships sort of develop in that space is really enjoyable for me. So we really recommend that your students enroll in UK 101. It's one of the best first steps they can take at UK.
And I'm guessing a lot of them are. So, the other thing that we want to encourage you to do is really talk it up to them, get them excited about being in the classroom and that smaller class feel that they're going to get, and the connections they can make with other students and their instructor, and all the cool things they're going to learn and be able to do in that class. Get them excited about being in that space, because it is an exciting time, and they're going to get to do a lot of really neat conversations and practice a lot of those core skills to being successful here at UK. One of the things that they're going to go over a lot in UK 101 is resources. So we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other things that they're going to hear in UK 101, as well as we just know from student experiences, like these are some of the essential things for students to do. One of the number one things that Transformative Learning offers and recommends to all students, but especially our incoming students, is to make an appointment with an integrated success coach. These are trained professionals and graduate students that are going to have a one-on-one conversation with your student around what are their goals while they're here at UK, what are resources available to help them reach those goals, what are maybe some tools, some strategies, things that they can be trying and practicing to reach those goals, and really build that supportive network to ensure they can be the best student, best person they possibly can be while they're here at UK. And those coaches are going to be there to support your students and what their unique situation is throughout their career. We have students that, they meet with their coach early in the semester, kind of lay out, here's what I'm thinking I want to do. I'm really worried about this class. How can I set aside more time for it? Or I have this internship I really want to get to. What things do I need to be doing? And those coaches are going to talk them through what works best for them. And they're going to offer some ideas and strategies, but really it's a collaborative relationship that the student is going to really lead, and the coach is going to be there to support them through that. It's one of the best things an incoming student can possibly do to get off on the right foot and stay in a good space. And we know sometimes students stumble, and a coach is going to be right there to help, support them and get them connected with the things that they need to get back on the right track. So if you haven't talked to your student about getting a coach, it's a great thing to, when they call and say, hey, this is a little different than what I thought it was going to be. It's one of the best things you can recommend. Oh, well, why don't you look at making an appointment with an integrated success coach at TL? That having that conversation can really get them right back in a good space. One of the things that coaches often refer students to is all of our peer-supported learning services. So we have a wide variety of supports available for students across a wide variety of courses that they're going to be enrolled in, especially in their first semester. Kat, do you want to kick us off? Which one do you want to start with to talk about?
Sure. I can start with supplemental instruction, and then we'll go from there. So supplemental instruction, or SI, is one of our 3 peer-supported learning programs. It is a peer-led study group session that is held in some of UK's more historically difficult 1 and 200 level courses at the institution that a lot of our incoming students are enrolling in their first year. And we can share a list of those courses with you later on, but what we end up, an SI leader is going to be in the course with your student. That's the SI leader has taken that class already and successfully passed that course with an ARB. They go to lecture every day or every time the class meets for the semester. They get to know the students in the class. They work with the faculty partner to make sure that those study sessions that they lead are timely and aligned with what the students are going to be doing in the class as far as homework, quizzes, exams, etc. They host those sessions several times a week. They also host exam sessions prior to exams, so students can come for extended study groups with their classmates and with that SI leader. The SI leader is available to them via message as well. And those SI sessions are held both in person and virtually. So we try to make it as accessible as possible so that students know that they have that support throughout the whole semester in that class.
In addition to supplemental instruction or SI, Transformative Learning also offers 2 different peer tutoring programs or options. The first one I'm going to talk about is the study. The study supports a wide range of those entry-level math, science, and business courses. I basically guarantee almost every student's going to be enrolled at least one of those in their first year. If whether that's college algebra, calculus, chemistry, biology, those are all things we tutor. Those are a lot of the classes that our incoming students take in their first year. The study is completely drop-in and completely free. So students do not need to make appointments. They can come anytime the center is open and a tutor is available. That's 2 to 10 p.m. most days of the week. And we actually find that a lot of students, they just come and work on their homework, study for their exam. If they happen to have a question, tutors right there to help support them, or even better, another student in their class, and they can be building those relationships while they're studying for organic chemistry or whatever that class is. So it's a great collaborative learning space for students to build into their regular schedule and regular routine, so that if they do happen to have a question, do want some clarification on something as they're working through, tutors right there, another student's right there with them. Our other peer tutoring program is Presentation U. Kat, do you want to talk about PresU?
Sure. So Presentation U is our speaking and writing center within Transformative Learning. PresU offers one-on-one peer tutoring for any composition or communications assignment. So students often are taking those WRD courses, English courses, etc. Maybe they're taking a science class, but they have to write a lab report. Maybe they're applying for a part-time job and they would like to get some feedback on a resume or a cover letter, whatever, whether it's an assignment or just something that they want some feedback on. PresU is the place to go for that one-on-one feedback. It's free. We offer it in person as well as virtual and e-tutoring. So if a student can't come in person or can't make an appointment time, they can submit whatever it is they want feedback on to an e-tutoring session, and then they'll get feedback on that in a quick turnaround. So it's a great space for pretty much anything your student may have questions about when it comes to, I have to record a podcast, I have to make a TED Talk, whatever that might be. If you hear your student saying those things, Presentation U is that great spot for them to go to get that assistance really quick from somebody who has successfully taken some similar courses or is majoring in that area. And it's a service that's also available to any student at the institution. So that's not something that they can only access in their first few years at UK. So it's an excellent service.
And really, what we would encourage you all to do is have a conversation with your student about what classes are they enrolled with in this semester, kind of what are their plans to make sure they're successful. And if you see that they're enrolled in a math or science class, mention, hey, have you thought about the study? We can look up when that tutor is going to be available. You could just start going proactively. If you see they're in a CIS or WRD class, pointing out, hey, when you have that first essay, do that first paper, that first speech, maybe think about Presentation U. We love that proactive, that getting ahead of the curve, building that into their regular routine early and often, making that part of what it looks like and feels like to be a successful student here at UK. But of course, don't forget, if they come to you later down the road, it's several weeks into the semester and they say things like, I just don't know how to be ready for this exam, or this isn't going the way that I thought it would, it's not too late. Transformative Learning and all of our resources are here to support them, and getting them to our website, getting them to one of our spaces. We are going to be there to support them and make sure that they get back on track if they got off track, or keep going in that positive direction. I'm sure we're going to address some questions at the end, but Transformative Learning is just one of many fantastic resources that students have here on campus and learn about in UK 101. The Career Center is another fantastic one, and I know Beth is probably really excited to share all kinds of important information with you. So I'm going to hand it over to Beth.
Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us today. TL is one of my favorite places on campus to send students, so Transformative Learning is one that you definitely want to bookmark. I actually know Christy as well. We actually did a service trip with our university group of students to Washington, D.C. So many of us and staff spend time outside of the classroom with students in various ways. And it's a great organization to have a chance for them to actually see and do things that are maybe beyond the classroom walls. So you're probably wondering, why are we talking about careers and maybe your student hasn't even stepped foot on campus yet? You're probably worried about ice makers. Maybe when it comes to different areas of the room that you're decorating for your residence hall, maybe it's bed skirts, you name it, matching, whatever it could be on that particular one. Those are usually the things that most students are concerned about when they first move in. I get it. I was in their shoes as well. I remember traveling to different institutions, and once I picked the school I was going to for undergrad, I remember going, and my dad would talk to every single professional he saw, and he'd be like, "What are you going to do to help my daughter get a job after graduation?" And I was like so mortified. I was like, "Dad, I'm worried about where I'm going to do laundry. What does this look like in terms of getting along with my roommate?" The reason why we're here and why we talk about it now is because it's really important to have those steps early to think about how do they want to apply their academics to the real world. That is what we do at the Stuckert Career Center and our different career centers across campus, is to actually talk with students, to be intentional about different experiences that they're going to get to help with both their personal and professional development. And so that's why you see the Wildcat with the open arms there. That's what we are in terms of the space within it. So let's talk about what are some of our resources that we have. So when you think about areas, why we want to begin with career competencies, these are national ones that employers are looking for. So yes, it's important that we're getting a degree or having different skill sets within it, but we also are going to sit down with students and talk over different elements that employers are looking for, because it's going to be different per student. So we may have one student that has a lot of experience in teamwork. Maybe they're really active in their high school in terms of sports, right? I might have another student that have had a part-time job their entire time of being in high school. And so their professionalism might be already set. Hey, I know what this looks like within the different areas. We're going to be talking about leadership, what that means. Maybe they were valedictorian, maybe they're president of a student organization, but how do you incorporate in the different ones? So it's not just important that they have these 8 areas, but it's also important that they are able to talk about these areas and why does it matter to where they want to go next and how they want to apply it. So let's say, for example, many of us know that our generation that's coming in from Gen Z knows technology, but how does that actually work in terms of a workforce? So with that, these are a few of the resources that we provide at the Stuckert Career Center. I know it's a long list, so we're actually going to do some more highlight within the different areas. The first one that they want to make sure that they have is going to be Handshake. Handshake is our online platform that has resources for them to connect with all these other ones that you see above it. So each student that comes to the University of Kentucky is going to receive an iPad. On that iPad is going to actually be the icon or the app for Handshake, or we can walk them through of actually how to do it on the actual website. The more they are active in Handshake, the more that employer is going to be wanting to get involved with them. Many times students are going to say, hey, I'm tech savvy. I know how to use TikTok. I know different resources within it. But what we do is actually do more of a deeper dive to help them understand what that looks like. So maybe we're working and say, well, how do you actually build your networking skills in terms of resources nowadays? How do we actually connect you with employers? What does that look like in terms of job shadowing or the different ones you want to do? You can even get professional headshots done here at the Stuckert Career Center too. So really cool kind of resources for it. But one thing when I talk about when it comes to these online tools, it's one thing that we tell students to go do, but again, it's our job to help them understand what it's like. So the story I usually say, I call it the refrigerator effect, and this is what I mean by that. So last Thanksgiving, my family and I celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm originally from Northwest Ohio, and so of course I'm living in Kentucky now, loving it, having a great time. And so I'm driving up to Northwest Ohio, and my dad's side of the family is really, really large. He has 13 brothers and sisters. So just immediate when we celebrate Thanksgiving is going to be 100+ people. So I was helping my mom prepare food with the different ones, and she tells me, hey, Beth, go over to the refrigerator and get the butter out. I walk over to the refrigerator, I open up the door, I keep looking and I smile. I'm like, Mom, I don't see the butter. You sure you bought it yesterday? Yes, Beth, I did. Many of you who are parents may assess this when you're having your children or other people kind of find things in the refrigerator. And I pause again. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm moving things around. And I'm like, Mom, are you sure? And she's like, yes, Beth, it's there. She simply walks over and pulls the butter out. I was looking for sticks of butter. She bought a tub of butter. I am not right. She is not right. I am not wrong. She is not wrong. So what we do is we help make those connections for students to help break down what is actually happening in the field or careers that they want to do. So it's not just what they might think it is and while watching TikTok or a YouTube video. Many times, especially when it comes to the healthcare field, I might talk to a student and be like, oh, you're interested in going on to be a dentist or an optometrist or medical school. I'm like, great, awesome. Why do you want to do that? They're like, I want to help people. Well, that's great, but we're going to do that deeper dive to say, well, why do you want to use your skill set to help people in that manner? And it can't just be like, gosh, I really love Grey's Anatomy. That's my favorite TV show. So what we're doing is taking those NACE competencies and helping to build out students to say, okay, these are areas that you're pretty strong with. What are areas that you want to work with within it? And all of these resources that you see here are ways that we help students to do that. Now, I understand a student might come in and they might say, gosh, I know exactly what career field I want to go into. They may know exactly what major that they want, but truth be told, it may be where it changes for a lot of different reasons. And that is okay. That's what we're here for, is to help through that process. And so we have different resources to help students. So if they're coming in undecided, again, that's perfectly okay. We have different career assessments that we can work with them to kind of figure out how they make choices, how they look at different things in different areas, what their interests are, how they go about choosing values that matter to them. We also have job shadowing programs where students can be connected with an employer and maybe spend a half a day or a full day just kind of gaining a little bit more hands-on experience of what that might look like day to day for that experience. We're really excited for Focus 2. That is a free online assessment for students. We're going to be rolling it out this coming fall that they can actually use and take and actually, again, do that kind of self-evaluation of what they like. When we do different kind of assessments, some things we learned is that maybe people like to be in a setting of a work environment where there's lots of people. Other people like to be more hands-on. Those are going to be examples within those settings. Or maybe they value the idea that they want to work remotely because that is a great way for them to connect with family or help out at home. So every person has a different story of what that might look like, of what their needs are. And our job is to help, again, apply their goals and needs for the ones they want. The other one we also have is what we call the Summer Medical Observership Program. And that's an opportunity for students to be paired with a university professional over in the College of Medicine. And they actually will get a chance to actually shadow and see what it's like to do hands-on experience in the field of medicine. So many times, again, it's okay if they don't know. It's your job, if you can, to encourage them to say, it's okay, and here's the resource. Go talk to the Stuckert Career Center. Go talk to Beth and ask about, her not finding butter in the refrigerator for Thanksgiving and her mom getting frustrated, because it happens, right? So it's okay if you don't know where they're going to go. But again, our job is to kind of help apply what that going to be next steps. The next thing we want to talk about is kind of interview and resume resources. The reason for that is because how people have been hired in the past has drastically changed over the last 20 years, and even more specifically, the last 4 years with COVID. So one of my favorites when it comes to different areas is I might get someone that says, gosh, I talked to so-and-so in this industry, and they said I need to print my resume and hand it to these people. And I'm like, awesome, great. And that may be the case when someone else actually applied for the position, but it may not be the trends nowadays. And so what we're doing is helping students be able to be marketable and kind of go after those goals of what they want. So some things that are going to be trends that are changing is going to be virtual interviews. That could be where a student has to go on and record their interview and response. As you can see, my background is a sample professional Zoom background that has Kentucky logo within it to help make sure that particular student has a safe area to actually do maybe a Zoom interview within the different spaces. So technology has shifted. COVID has shifted within the different ones too. So this is actually a downloader background that we provide for students if they want more about professional space. In addition, AI has drastically changed how people are applying for jobs. So when you think about artificial intelligence, that's really awesome and great. But in the past, I would get students that would say, I want my resume to stand out. And the shift that we're saying to students is, I get that you want your experience to be memorable and unique to you, but I want your resume to get through the system. We don't want it to be standing out on pink paper. We don't want to have like big pictures or photos on it, because AI systems are automatically going to kick those resumes out in many cases. So we're going to work with students to talk about how do you have that resume that will get through that system so that hiring managers are able to actually evaluate it to then invite them for an interview, which may start off with a recording. It may start off with, going Zoom before they actually get in person. So we offer resume labs on Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 3. It's a safe environment for students. If they don't want to go by themselves, they can bring a friend and actually work on resumes in that real-time setting. And then also, if you have a student that is interested in maybe global internships, opportunities, that's going to be a really cool space as well, because resumes are slightly different from one geographic location around the world compared to others. And we'll work with industries to kind of make that tailored for those spaces. And we do those global resume labs on Fridays from 3 to 4. So that's a lot when it comes to resumes and interviews. And so why do we say that? Is because, well, that's really going to be prep for most positions that are out there. Most students need some type of form of a resume, and it's going to be different for each person to the different areas that you see. So this is a list of a variety of our events that we have this coming fall. I don't share this so you get overwhelmed and think that your student needs to go to all of them. We share it so you kind of know the different connections that are going to be on campus. We have a wide variety of alumni and employers that really want to hire Wildcats because you have great talent, great skill set. And so you can kind of see that each one is slightly different of kind of what a unique element for students may be. The first one I want to highlight is that very top one for you, because you may have a student that is looking to get a part-time job when they're here at UK. Now, I'll be honest, it may not be for everyone, especially balancing when it comes to class schedule, transitioning to being a student, that they may not necessarily be able to do a part-time job that first semester. That's okay. But I also know that some people might be like myself, where, to be honest with you, I was paying my entire tuition and items when it came to school, that I needed to have a part-time job. So that's the resources for it. We can talk through what that might look like for timing. And then you can actually go work at TL and coach, where they can kind of coach you when it comes to time management to be able to make it fit for that part-time jobs, classes, and studying. And so that's how these resources work together. It's not a one-stop that you just go here and that's it. Think about that we are these really cool extended family members for your students, that they have all these good people that are going to help them to be the best version of them. And additionally, you'll see our big career fairs that we have. Those are going to be for all majors within that. We also have some that are going to be focused just on Kentucky industries. So when you think about the state of Kentucky, each area across the United States have kind of maybe signature kind of things that they're working on when it comes to their industry and employment of that particular state. So for Kentucky, of course, ours is equine and then distillation when you think about it. So there's a really cool fair to kind of see those unique elements, and that gets a lot of companies from all across the United States interested in hiring our students for the resources. And then it's okay if your son or daughter, or your family member within that particular area and space, or your loved one or your student that's coming to UK, doesn't necessarily think that they want to go and get a job after graduation. We also have resources when it comes to graduate schools. So if they're thinking medical school, dental school, we have our healthcare school fair. We have general graduate schools. So maybe someone's thinking about going and doing geography, or I have someone else thinking, hey, I want an MBA. And then we also have a law schools day. So a lot of different resources to kind of help you kind of think about what that would be. And then my other favorite one is kind of communication, and then the arts administration fair as well, kind of specific kind of niches for it. Now, you might be looking at this list and say, this is a lot for students throughout the year within it. But again, every person comes to the table with different goals on maybe how they want to apply their major that they're majoring in. And I encourage you to encourage your students to actually attend a career fair. I get it. They're not going to be like, I'm not looking for a job right away, right? Maybe they're civil engineering and being like, gosh, why should I go? I'm not necessarily looking for an internship right away. I'm looking to see if I'm going to get through my calculus class. What it does, by them coming early, builds their confidence. So it's not this big, scary thing to go do. So they get to see, how do people interact? What is the best way to approach maybe an employer? And realize that once they see it more, the more comfortable they are in those particular kind of settings. I think about myself when I was younger and going for school for the first day. I always loved the idea of actually doing the dry run. I always made my parents take me and be like, can we walk through where my classes are going to be through the school? Even if I was in kindergarten or second grade, I still remember to the day. And they're like, so where's my other rooms? And the teacher would be like, you're going to be in this room all day. I go, except maybe when you go to music. And I was like, okay, like, this is helpful. So many of us, it's helpful to kind of see what that looks like. So ideally, we're having your student be able to look like this when we get to graduation, that they have kind of their goals of where they want to apply next. They're looking like that wildcat, ready for new adventures in that different space that you see. So please stop by early. Encourage your students to maybe make appointments through us through Handshake. Again, that's that online platform. It's open to every student. It is free, and they will get it already attached to their iPad that they get from the university. So lots of different really cool resources that are here for students. We know that first transition is a lot of information coming through, but why we share this to you early as parents is that you can help guide them and maybe say, gosh, I know you're not liking blank class. Maybe you go over and talk to, TL, maybe get some like tutoring going on within that. Maybe it's the idea of coaching, or maybe it's just not the right fit of a major. And so those are all layers that are going to be resources for students in those opportunities. So the other thing we want to talk about is today we are part of Student Excellence. And so we're highlighting TL and of course Stuckert Career Center, but we also have two other areas underneath our Student Excellence area. The first one is going to be what we call Cares First. That's a great opportunity for anybody who is a first-generation student or a scholarship recipient on those particular one who may need some extra care in terms of that transition that they're having at the institution. Our first-generation kind of programs are really cool. We've actually partnered with them. This past summer, we partnered with us, Education Abroad, in that office to take a group of first-generation students overseas for a career-focused exploration kind of course, both to London and Dublin. And that's an opportunity for students to kind of be thinking about if that's something they may want to be interested for next year and those resources within that. In addition, our academic advising, it has a dual report within either their college that they're at, as well as Student Excellence. And part of that is we make sure that across the campus, students is getting similar advising from one college to the other, but also helping that transition if a student does want to switch a major and that might be in a different college. There's some really cool advising kind of programs that are out there. We do a whole thing called Getting Classy, where students can sign up for their class and feel it's a good element in space. But their academic advisor is the person that is assigned to them based off of their current major that they have. And by having us tied to Student Excellence, again, you can see the resources of how that might work with coaching for TL, maybe a student when it comes to needing additional care that they may have, as well as kind of that career kind of connection. And so that's kind of that collaborative kind of unit that you kind of see how the university connection on campus actually is being implemented. Instead of just saying, hey, we care about your students, we're actually having those collaborations together. So that's a basic overview in terms of the Career Center and, of course, Student Excellence. I'm going to turn it back over to Nancy to see if anybody has any questions.
Thank you all for all of that great information about transformative learning and the Career Center. We do have some questions that have already come in, and if you have a question at home and haven't asked it yet, I encourage you to go ahead and put it in that Zoom Q&A feature, and we'll be taking them for the next few minutes. So the first one is for our friends in TL, asking if there are fees for any of the services like the integrated success coaching.
Great question. And I have great news for you all. Basically, everything we do is free. So integrated success coaching is completely free for your students. They can make an appointment at any time. Fall schedule is up and available already for them. All of our peer supported learning services, so the study, peer tutoring, PresU, supplemental instruction, all of those resources are free. The only thing that I'll mention is we do have one, we do have a private tutoring marketplace that we help support. And that is a fee base, but that's completely optional. That's typically for students who are in some sort of smaller course that's kind of their niche thing in their major, and they're really interested in that one-on-one attention, and they really need to find somebody very specific to that thing that we may not have a general tutor for. So that's really the only thing that there's a fee associated with for all of our services. Nearly everything we do and offer for students is free for them. And ditto for Career Center, if I'm not mistaken. You guys are pretty much free for everybody.
We are free for everybody. And what's also great about that is it is available for every person. Freshman year, we even meet with prospective students. So if you have another student that's coming up the ranks, and let's say they're in high school and they're not sure what they want for major, we can meet with them ahead of time on that space. And also after graduation. So our actual office will meet with a student 1 year after graduation, and then we'll transition you over to our alumni career services as an option for students. So once you're a Wildcat, guess what? You're always a Wildcat.
I like it. We're playing the long game here, right? We're not just thinking about moving or the first day of school. We're talking all the way to graduation and beyond. And, you know, to piggyback off what you all have been saying about like the integrated success coaching and the fact that all these services are free, I tell students, particularly in my UK 101 class, I'm always like, just go check it out. You've literally got nothing to lose. Like maybe if you decide there's no value, and I doubt that's going to be the case, but at the worst, you've lost an hour of your time maybe. But at best, you've got somebody else who's in your corner who's able to help support you, provide you more individual support. So why wouldn't you go check that out? And success coaching in particular is one of the things that anytime a UK 101 student comes to me and says, hey, I'm struggling with this, or you know, I think I could be doing better here, I'm like, go meet with a coach. You know, I think they understand, you know, maybe I want to get fit or whatever, so I'm going to meet with a personal trainer. Like in that context, it seems to make a lot of sense. And I'm like, okay, it also works in the academic realm too. And it's not always just the difference between like, well, I'm going to fail this class, so maybe I need to figure something out. I'm like, maybe you have a B and you want an A. Like it's anything to nudge you a little bit beyond where you currently are. Great reasons to go use these resources.
And now, Nancy, with UK Invest, just about all of Transformative Learning's services qualify for UK Invest. So not only is it go try it, it's going to be to your advantage. They literally can get paid to do it. And I'm sure Career Center, there's several things on in your space that also qualify for UK Invest.
Yeah, for sure. UK Invest is the university incentivizing the things that we know students should be doing anyway. And so your student is getting more information about UK Invest. We'll continue to share more information with you as parents and families about UK Invest. But yeah, that's just another reason to use these resources. So our next question that's come in is asking about a list of the supplemental instruction courses. And I suspect there are others who may be wondering about the courses that are supported in peer tutoring in the study too. Are you all still developing those schedules for the fall, or are those things that are already available?
The official schedules will come out right before the start of classes, but you can go to our website now and see what courses are supported by supplemental instruction as well as the study. And I believe you shared those links in the chat, correct, Nancy? Yes. But I will just highlight, and Kat probably is getting ready to say the same thing. For the study, it's any section of those courses. So it doesn't matter which section of Math 109 they're enrolled in or whatever that is, they can come to the study. For supplemental instruction, it is a partnership with that instructor. And so there are some specific sections or a specific instructor that we collaborate with, and that peer is in that lecture with them and is building those relationships there. So Kat, would you add anything else?
I'll echo what Christy shared, that we do have the course list for supplemental instruction on our website. And it also will let you know what professor, what faculty we are partnered with for that course, if it's not all of the faculty of that course. What we really want to drive home though is we encourage you to remind your student to, when they're registering for courses or when they meet with their academic advisor, to specifically ask if any of the classes that they are preparing to take in the next semester are supported by SI, so that they can go ahead and get that jump ahead of time. And also let your student know that that's indicated, that SI partnership is indicated in the course catalog. So when they're looking at classes, they should be able to see what sections are supported by SI. So that's just a good tip after that first semester when they're enrolling in their classes again.
And it's always great for you to be informed, parents, but I will also say your student will get a lot of information about all of these resources. They're going to get it through email. They're going to see a class presentation in their course. They're probably going to see an announcement on their Canvas page. So they should be getting communications about, hey, the course you're enrolled in has peer tutoring or has supplemental instruction. And so even just asking them, hey, have you seen that? Anybody come in? Hopefully that will prime them to remember, oh yeah, I did see someone talk about SI. What, maybe I should learn more about that. And then you'll be like, yes, you should. Let's go look that up.
And I apologize in advance for not committing this to memory, but I feel like I have seen you all share in other spaces on campus and in meetings of student success staff, some of the good statistics you all have around usage of your services. And again, if your students may be a little hesitant to check out some of these resources, maybe you could drop some of this information in conversation about why they should do it, what we know about the outcomes of students who use these services.
Nancy, you're just like setting us up and we'll knock the pins down, right? Yes. Yes, we know students that attend SI, the more they come, the better they perform in the class overall. But even if they're just coming once or twice, they perform or earn a higher grade on that exam or in that course than the students that are not coming at all. And it can be the difference between an A or B, or it could be the difference between, passing that class. And many of the courses that we support, especially with supplemental instruction, I mean, we see a huge percentage of the students enrolled in that course trying it at least once. So, safety in numbers a little bit. They're not the only one. There's lots and lots of students that are taking advantage of these things and learning alongside one another. Kat may know the specific stats, but I don't have the number right in front of me, but we've seen those trends over multiple semesters. Students that are coming to peer tutoring or coming to supplemental instruction perform better in that course than those that don't take advantage of those resources.
Right, and that all makes good sense. You would imagine that that's the case, but it's always nice when the numbers bear out our assumptions as well. So we've got another question about supplemental instruction. It's asked, is that similar to a TA, and are some of the classes that have SI mandatory?
That's a great question. And hats off to you for really knowing your higher education lingo right there. The SI leader is different than a TA. TAs, often have some level of responsibility with grading. SI leaders do not. They do not know individual grades. They are not responsible for assigning points or grades in any way. They are simply, as the title they're an addition, they're a supplement to what's happening in lecture. They do talk very consistently with instructors, with TAs. They're kind of part of that teaching team. They know what's happening in the class. They know what's coming up, but they're in no way responsible for points and grades and things like that. So to that point, no, SI attendance is not a requirement for any of the courses that we partner with. It is something that students are encouraged to take advantage of. And one of the best things that maybe we didn't highlight as much, SI does a fantastic job of really combining what is going on in that class, that content that can be challenging for students, with different study strategies, ways that students can be preparing, not just for that class, but for others. And the SI leader is going to bring those two things together and play games and interactive things so that students can be learning and reviewing that content regularly, but they can take those same tools and strategies and apply them into other classes too. That hopefully they're learning some of those great study strategies through coming to SI as well.
So our next question is about whether the supports like these are available throughout their entire time at UK, not just their first year.
I know we focus so much on the first year, but absolutely all of the things, whether it's transformative learning or resources at the Career Center, all of these things are available to all undergrads at any point in their academic career. You know, especially Presentation U, their students are going to see some sort of communication, composition, presentation, assignment pretty much every single semester they're here at UK. And that resource is going to be available to them wherever they're at in that writing process, in that assignment process, whether they need to brainstorm something with a peer, or they need to go through an outline, or they have a pretty finalized product and they want to run through and polish it and make sure that they didn't miss anything. You know, Presentation U is going to be there for them the entire time. Same with integrated success coaching, that, you know, different challenges come up at different points in a student's academic career, and a coach is going to be there the whole time for them to support them.
And I just put in the chat a link to a website that has all of your TL links, but then some of the other academic resources, like those housed in some of the colleges, more you know, major and area specific ones. So those are available throughout your students' time at UK as well. So I'm wondering if you all can explain, you know, this isn't a question that's been asked, but I think at this point, families don't always know what to ask since this is new to many folks. But pretty soon their students are going to be talking in many classes about their common hour exams. And so maybe you can help students know, or help families understand like what a common hour exam is, how you all support students in some of those classes that have common hour exams, and anything that you think that they should know, that because this may be new to them.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right? And common hour courses is absolutely one of those things. So here at UK, there are a handful of those large lecture core math and science classes that fall under what we call common hours. So it doesn't matter what section of that course your student is enrolled in. They're going to be covering the same material, the same content at the same general pace throughout the semester. And then they're going to have what we call a common hour exam. So that exam for that content is on the same day at the same time, and it's going to be the same exam no matter what section of that course that student's enrolled in. So general chemistry is a great example. That's Chem 105 and Chem 107. It's a common hour course, and so they're following the same curriculum the whole semester, and they have the same exam date and time, which is typically different than lecture time. It's going to be in the evening, in a large room, and it's all going to be the same exam for everybody. So what that allows us to do through Transformative Learning in the study is we have set common hour exam reviews or study group sessions that we have set up. So our peer tutors will lead some larger group exam prep sessions that have practice problems that are similar to what students can anticipate seeing on that exam. Tutors will kind of walk them through some of those practice problems. They'll get an opportunity to work in a small group of other students to like that pre-formed study group for them leading up to that exam. And those typically are held 3 to 4 days before the exam, really encouraging students, like, don't wait till the night before. You need to start studying now to be ready for that exam that's several days out. We are finalizing that schedule for the fall as we speak, but I see that Nancy shared the link in the chat that that information should be available, or that schedule should be available very, very shortly.
So no, we're getting within the last few minutes. We've got one more question that's coming in, and then I have one question I would love to hear all of you speak to. But the question that's coming in the Q&A is asking if the integrated success coaching is in person or mainly online.
Great question. The student can choose. So all appointments are available for either modality, and the student can choose what's most convenient for them. I would say the vast majority of students have been preferring to meet with their coach in person. I think that really helps with the relationship building piece of it. I think students really like that kind of accountability. I have to get out of my room. I have to go meet this person. I have to get out on campus. But we realize that that's not always possible. Sometimes they're squeezing it in real close between things, and coaches are available for either in person or via Zoom.
Beth, I'm curious about the modality for Career Center. Are you all seeing students in person and online? Are you seeing that students are preferring one to the other?
We see students anywhere that they want to see me. And so that could be via email, that could be phone, Zoom, and even in Handshake, they have a virtual space to be able to do a recording that way, as well as in person. And so why we say that is because we tend to serve all students, both graduate and undergraduate students, and even prospective students. So we could have someone who is doing an online program in another state, and so we'll help them through those spaces. So it's up to the student, but we'll meet them wherever they want to say hi.
Okay, great. The last question that I want to pose to all of you, and love your thoughts on this. So families are, they're buying what you're selling. They know that you all have some really great resources. What if their student is maybe not as sold on it? And so it can be hard when you know that they ought to be doing these things, but it's not like you can be like, I demand that you're going to do this. I mean, you could try it, but it's probably not going to go as well. So do y'all have any thoughts on tried and true methods to get students to come around to seeing that these are resources that they need to use, or maybe any phrasing or tips or tricks that families can get to encourage their students to check these things out? I know we've touched on some of them already, like the UK Invest thing, that's certainly an incentive, but how might families encourage their student to use your resources?
Well, as a parent, if anybody knows the magic recipe, you just let me know, because there are so many things that's like, I know what's going to be best for you, but you have to be the one to decide and actually take action. So if anybody figures it out, you let me know too. All right. But some things that I've seen work well in the past, oftentimes a barrier for accessing some of our services is the students a little nervous about doing it by themselves. So, hey, grab a friend and go together. I mean, almost everything that we do, they can bring a buddy along. And in fact, great, like bring your friends. And so encouraging like, hey, do you have a friend in that class? Maybe you guys could go together. What about your roommate? You guys could walk together. Finding some sort of social connection so that like trying something new isn't quite as scary for them is something that I've seen a lot of students or parents encourage their students to do. I also think just having a really honest conversation with them about, what are your goals? If you don't want to do this, what do you think you do want to do? And helping them kind of come to that realization on their own, maybe, asking questions as opposed to telling, so if this isn't going how you want it to go, what could we change about this? And having that conversation with them, often they'll come around to it. I think students generally can realize, oh, maybe it would benefit me to have some supports, and then giving that encouragement of, yeah, we all need some help sometimes, and normalizing that for students can really feel good, because I think that we all have had those moments of, I'm embarrassed to say I don't get it. I'm scared to do this. And if the people that we love and care about most tell us it's okay, sometimes that can give that little extra nudge.
So I'm going to make a plug for Family Weekend. We are going to be doing the donut trail. It's going to be in different locations across campus. So if you and your family are actually going to be joining us in September, get excited is that you actually can physically walk through TL, Transformative Learning, and actually physically walk through the Stuckert Career Center. So very similar to what Christy said, it's sometimes an intimidating factor. It doesn't mean that they don't want to do it, but it goes back to that refrigerator effect. They do not necessarily know how to look for that butter. And so if by your giving encouragement, if my mom would have came over here and be like, oh, mad at me and just started like, I don't know, being like, you're the worst person ever, that you don't know how to open a refrigerator and look for butter, it changes that dynamic. Instead of pausing and say, you know, I hear that you're going through blank. I believe UK has some really cool resources. What does that look like? And you know your child the best. And so some people, it may be where you encourage them to say, hey, let's go online and see pictures of the actual staff so they're not as scary, and you can read our bios within that. Or it may be ones where you incentivize them to be like, okay, yeah, I really want to get an A on this particular exam or test, or I want to get experience in blank industry. What would that look like? And so those are kind of conversations to kind of have. I think some of my favorites, to be honest with some of the students, would be like, Beth, I came in because my parent heard you speak and they said you were fun. And I was like, awesome, great, we're now new friends. You know, I'm from Ohio and I cannot lie to you, I have a whole bowl of Buckeyes in my office. And I tell people, if you're from Ohio and you just need something to feel connected, by all means come in. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be about a career. It doesn't necessarily have to be about a class. You're making connections with Christy, you're making connections with Kat, you're making connections with our fellow staff members so that they feel that they have somebody on campus. And that's the encouragement that I would say.
I'll quickly add, because I know we're running out of time, but something that you may hear your students share is, you know, I'm struggling with this and I don't feel like I can talk to my professor because there's 400 students in the course and we have another class coming in, et cetera. Something that you could share with your students is that most of the services are going to have their peers involved with helping them. So all the peer supported learning services within Transformative Learning are undergraduate students who have already taken those courses and can relate to your student around. That is a challenging course. So this quiz that you're getting ready to take is tough. I remember when I did it, here's a tip that I remember using, et cetera. And as well as some of our coaches in TL are graduate students. So there's a relatability factor in that, and it's a little bit less intimidating. So if you hear that element brought up from your student, that might be a good way to encourage them that this is a safe place to be vulnerable, or a safe place to struggle alongside your classmates, your peers, et cetera, and get better and grow and be more confident.
That's great advice from all of you. One thing that I'll add, I listened to a podcast from a psychologist who works a lot with teenagers and young adults. And one of the ones that I've started using with my own teenager is the line, what's your plan? You know, if we're talking around, you know, some sort of issue and you know they need a plan, but telling them that they need a plan is probably going to fall on deaf ears. You know, maybe you use the phrasing about, like, well, what's your plan? And they get a chance to practice some of that critical thinking that we know that they need to do. And if they don't have a plan, then you can, you know, use some other tactics to say, you know, well, maybe we can look at some of the UK websites, or maybe you have some emails from UK about that. So you can help them in the development of the plan, but at least you've given them the chance to come up with a plan on their own, or think around, you know, their need for a plan. And then you can be kind of an accountability partner for them in that, like, where maybe you say, well, maybe I'll check back in with you in a couple of days and see if you've had a chance to come up with that plan. So you're letting them take the lead, but you're kind of encouraging and nudging them along the way too. So that is, the question just came in, what's the name of the podcast? So I'm not a paid endorsement for this by any means, but I love the Ask Dr. Lisa podcast with Dr. Lisa DeMoore. She does such good things with teenagers and young adults, and I use it a lot with my own parenting, and then feel like a lot of it applies to the college students that I'm working with as well. So friends, that was such a quick hour. It went by very fast. You shared some good information that I hope families will use not only in their students' first year, but throughout their time at UK. But I so appreciate you making time to chat with them. And it's always a good excuse for me to get to hang out with y'all and see your faces as well. So families, thank you for making time in your busy schedules as well. I know we're getting closer and closer to move-in and the start of classes, so I know you have a lot on your to-do list, but appreciate you carving out some time to spend with us and learn more about these UK resources. We hope you make plans to join us again next week for the last week of our summer Cat Chat Live series. Again, talking about wellness issues on Monday and talking about safety and connecting with UK police a week from today. All of that information is in the Cat Chat family community. You'll find a link to the recording of this webinar in there as well. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, and go Cats.